$1 trillion lost! Okay, everyone who was in the stock market in 2022 knows it was a disastrous year, and no stock epitomizes the incredible loss of wealth more than Tesla. Now, Tesla's valuation was incredible when it reached a peak late in 2021 of $400 a share. That gave it a market cap of $1.3 trillion. And as we know, there are very few companies that ever reached the $1 trillion mark. So that was quite an accomplishment. But this valuation was not going to stay there for long because it was completely ridiculous. You knew that this valuation of Tesla was insane and it had to come back to earth, and in fact, that's exactly what it did. So the worshippers of Elon Musk said he was a genius and that Tesla was not just a car company, but it was in fact a technology company, and as a result, it deserved a higher valuation. Of course, this fantasy fell to earth as soon as the Fed started raising interest rates and tightening credit. This resulted in a staggering loss of wealth in Tesla stock of close to $1 trillion. And all the while, Musk was selling, and in fact, he sold over $40 billion in stock in under 14 months to finance his disastrous acquisition of Twitter. Now, the sycophants and the worshippers that worshipped Tesla and worshipped Musk and worshipped the EV car space, they were very foolish during this time period because they continued to be bullish all the way down and buy on the dips. And in fact, many of these mom and pop retail investors lost their entire life savings. The stock currently trades for 32 times earnings, but at the peak of the market, when the mania hit its zenith, it was trading for 190 times earnings. It seems foolish and ridiculous now in retrospect, but at the time, people were still extremely bullish at the top of the market.
I'm sure you've heard of house flipping. Well, there's a new trend that's driving car owners looking to make some extra cash. CBS's Carter Evans takes a look at car flipping.
The rules of the road are changing. How much did you pay for that out the door with taxes?
I think like $87,600.
Dennis Wang just bought a brand new Tesla 5 months ago, but the offer he just got from a dealer is too good to pass up.
And they gave you how much?
$101,000. It's absolutely insane. Mind blown.
The dealer paid off the rest of his loan, and Wang walked away with a check for almost $17,000.
In the last 2 years, I've been driving brand new cars and have not lost a cent.
Eddie Gribist flipped his car for $5,000 more than he paid for it.
9 months, and this is how much it appreciated.
To Elon Musk's credit, he repeatedly warned the sycophants that Tesla's valuation was not sustainable, but people just kept on buying with every dip all the way down, just believing that the stock and Elon Musk were infallible until it was proven to not be true. Now, one of the issues on the way down was margin calls. Apparently, a lot of the Tesla shareholders, including Elon Musk himself, own the stock on margin. To his credit, he did warn the sycophants and the ne'er-do-wells and the retail investors to not buy Tesla on margin, but many of them did not listen to him. And in fact, I believe that one of the things that really accelerated the downfall of Tesla was repeated margin calls all the way down, including perhaps margin calls to Elon Musk himself. Now, this fall in Tesla stock and really the crumbling of the mystique of Elon Musk and Tesla really has historic proportions. We've never seen a loss of wealth on this magnitude before, but it's much more than just a stock market phenomenon. There are a lot of fundamental reasons why the Tesla stock started to sell off. So here are my 5 biggest reasons why Tesla crashed and burned. First up, quality issues. Now, most people know who have been following the situation. Fires have been a big issue with Tesla, and these fires, not only are they rather prevalent and devastating, because apparently it's impossible to put one of these out because the battery and the chemicals and the elements in the battery are extremely flammable, and once they catch on fire, they're almost impossible to put out. The next thing, of course, is the problems that he's been having with the self-driving technology. This is far from perfect. People have died in fatal crashes around this self-driving technology, and so there's still a lot of problems with this. It has not been perfected, and they're still working out the kinks on it. Also, into the practicality of the vehicles, people have trouble charging these things in the cold weather. And in addition to that, they don't keep their charge as long as normal in the cold weather. So you got the double problem. Your charge doesn't go as far for as many miles. And when you go to charge it, it doesn't hold the charge as well if it is extremely cold. So this, in colder areas of the country, is an extreme problem. The second issue for Tesla is competition. Now, I've talked about this on the channel previously, but I'll go over it again here. Because of the government's push, and this is all over the world, in the US and in Europe, China, everywhere, because the governments have been pushing so hard for this green energy agenda, and they've looked to EV cars as being the solution, which I don't even think it's the solution. But what you've seen is, you've seen every single car company get into the EV Act. Doesn't matter what car company you look at, BMW, Mercedes, Ford, GM, many of these companies have said that they're going to be entirely electric by so-and-so a date, which is completely ridiculous because the grid can't handle it and we can't get the rare metals for the batteries. So these goals are completely ridiculous. It's another mania which eventually will fall, but in the short to intermediate term, I believe that this is going to add increased competition to Tesla, and while they might be on top now with 60% of the EV market, this is not going to last, and there's only going to be a matter of time before a lot of these other companies catch up. Kudos to Toyota, who has said recently that they're not going all in on EVs. They want to wait and see if the organic demand develops. Next is the high input cost. Have you looked at what lithium costs nowadays? All of the basic components that go into these batteries involve raping the earth and incredible mining, which does enormous damage to the earth, which the environmentalists completely ignore when they talk about EV cars. Lithium, nickel, cobalt are all needed to make these EV batteries. We have not made any provisions for more mining operations in this country to extract these rare earth metals from the earth so that we will have enough of them to supply the manufacture of these batteries. This has not even been thought about. And one of the places that has a lot of these elements is China. So we're creating a situation, another situation, that's just going to benefit China to our detriment. It's really an incredibly stupid situation, but let's face it, governments are inherently stupid, and governments are the main cause of most of our problems. The other issue related to what I was just talking about, number 4, is oversupply and low real demand. Okay, so EV cars, in my opinion, are not the answer for a lot of reasons. They're not the answer for saving the planet. because, as I said in the last issue, you have to rape the earth to get the rare earth elements to build these electric batteries. And nobody is really focusing on this. Nobody's focusing on the supply of these elements. And as a result, I think it's very unrealistic to think that, number one, you're going to get enough of the inputs that go into the manufacturing of these vehicles. But also, if everyone were to drive EV cars, it's going to put an unbelievable strain on the grid. And how are you going to create all of that energy? You're going to have to burn fossil fuels or nuclear or something similar. So no one's thought this out, and yet governments are incentivizing everyone to crazily go in to all these EV cars and manufacture them. And I believe it's going to be the next financial disaster. Next thing is real demand is low, okay? So demand for EV cars went from 3% to 5%. Okay, big deal. It's still almost nothing. It's a rounding error in the overall scheme of things. And I think as people begin to drive these things more and are inconvenienced by them and see the various problems that they have with them, I don't think demand is going to like skyrocket and knock out gasoline cars anytime soon. I mentioned before, every car company is doing it. How would you like to be Tesla and compete with BMW, Mercedes, GM, and Ford? I mean, that is a ridiculous amount of competition, and everyone forgets the car business is inherently the worst business on the planet, okay? It's highly competitive, it's extremely capital intensive, and you have to deal with unions. I mean, it's like the worst possible combination of factors, and who the hell wants to be in the car business? And last in this category, causing the oversupply, is bad government policy. Okay, doesn't it seem like bad government policy is always at the forefront of every economic issue that we deal with? Everyone knows that government is the worst allocator of capital on the planet. If you go back to the 2008-09 financial crash, it was because they expanded the Community Reinvestment Act and encouraged banks and investment banks to give mortgages to people that couldn't afford it in the subprime mortgage situation. And that, of course, led to a financial collapse, and it led to the government having to bail out the banks due to its own bad policy. I see it happening again here. The government is just providing all these incentives to these car companies, the $7,500 credit, and all of this garbage that's just encouraging people to make non-economic decisions. It's going to cause stranded assets, and we're going to have to deal with bailouts and restructurings further on down the road. And my last and final category as to why Tesla has taken such a historic dive is Elon Musk himself. Now, it all started when Elon Musk decided to make this disastrous acquisition of Twitter. He paid $54 billion for a complete piece of crap that doesn't make any money. In fact, Twitter is projected to lose $4 billion this year, and he completely overpaid for a pile of crap, and now he's got to deal with it. In addition to that, he got the brilliant idea that he should tell everybody his political opinions about everything and make really contentious statements about Twitter. And even though they're true, and I'm happy that a lot of the truth has come out about how Twitter manipulated elections and were batting for the Democrats and all that stuff, I think all of that stuff is good to know. We don't need to know every political opinion of Elon Musk, which tends to fall in the level of conservatism, and he speaks out against a lot of the liberal sacred cows, etc. I think this is doing a lot to contribute to his brand destruction of Tesla. Now, the pseudo-economist imbecile Paul Krugman, in an article in the New York Times, talked about Elon Musk and how to destroy a brand, I agree with this. If you think about the demographics and the viewpoints of the average Tesla owner, okay, the profile, with some exceptions, is a virtue signaling, wealthy, because these things are expensive, liberal elitist, is most of what he's selling these cars to. And when he comes out with these, conservative viewpoints, which, he may have, but why advertise it? He's basically alienating his entire installed customer base. Now, you can agree or disagree with his views. It doesn't matter, but when 90% of your customer base has a particular political view, and you make it a point to come out with opinions that are diametrically opposed to what your customers think, this is going to systematically destroy your brand. So I don't take anything away from Elon Musk. I think he's a brilliant man. I think he's contributed an enormous amount to humanity, and I can't criticize him for his creativity and intelligence and drive. God bless him. I wish there were more people in the world like him. But this Tesla situation, when you look at it from a financial standpoint and you analyze it, it was another example of a mania in a bubble market that was driven by speculation and by sycophants and worshipers that worshipped at the feet of Elon Musk and the Green Revolution. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video, which will be coming your way very soon.